Welcome to a special edition of the Savvy Music Studio Wednesday broadcast. We're doing something a little different this week, and we are running an Ask Me Anything. So, if you've paid attention to the Savvy emails over the past couple of weeks, you'll have seen information about this broadcast and how you could submit your questions. And I want to thank those who took the time to fill out our brief survey and submitted their questions about marketing. I have some really cool questions that we're going to be answering today, and I think that all of you will find them really valuable. We're going to be looking at questions about how to market to very specific types of clients in our studio. We're going to be looking at, hey, why am I seeing all these Facebook ads? We're going to be looking at what should I do with the calls to action on my website? There's so many fabulous questions that have been submitted, and we're going to break those down today. So if you missed the chance to submit your question, I am going to be answering questions live on the broadcast today. So if you want to submit a question for the live broadcast, do me a favor and put a big letter Q in front of your question and drop that into the comments. And time provided, we're going to answer as many questions as we can get to today. So if you have a question about marketing and you'd like to get it answered here live, drop your question down below. All right, so before we get to anything, I'm just going to do a quick housekeeping here. We love to learn out loud, so if you hear something that is valuable to you and you're going to put that into practice in your studio, or if you're like, oh my gosh, aha moment, light bulb went off, give us your takeaway down below and let us know what that is, because it's always fun to see what is valuable to other teachers, and it's great to have a conversation together. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much to those who helped us get over the 600 subscriber mark. And I do have some things set up for the YouTubers. If you look in the comments, if you click on this link, you can get the show notes from today. Oh, link fail. There we go. Let's copy that link. I thought I had it copied already. Now it's copied. All right, YouTubers, there's your link. And then we're going to get to all of the questions that were submitted ahead of time first, and then we'll make sure that we get to the questions that are listed in the comments below. I see Brandon's already dropped one down there. Thank you, Brandon. That's fantastic. We do have the Savvy Sarah bot set up today, so if you drop a Savvy down below, she's going to be sending you something very special this week, because I'm asking for your ideas and feedback in the types of resources that we're going to be putting out with Savvy Music Studio in the coming future. It's like a 2-minute form. It's going to take no time at all. And if you have ideas about what you'd like to see here on the broadcast, on our blog, or any of the other resources that we create, I'd love to know your thoughts. So, hey, if you're new here, let me stop right there, because you're probably going like, who is this crazy chick that is just like running her mouth like nuts? Hi, my name is Sarah Campbell, and I am a business strategist, mindset, and marketing coach for music studio owners and online education experts just like you. And we go live here every Wednesday with topics about business and marketing and mindset and branding and all of the things that you need in order to be a successful business owner. This week we're doing an Ask Me Anything, so let's get to it. But before we do, let's play a little intro music. So I'm really excited to get going with today's broadcast. Before we get officially started, I'm going to make sure that all of our videos are going live. So let's do a quick edit here. We're going to make sure that these are all public, and we're going to make sure that everybody knows that you can submit your question. All right, so there we go. All right, making sure that we are live in all the places. We are. Great. So thank you for coming today. I'm excited to answer these questions that were submitted by our savvy listeners. And I just want to invite you to take a moment to pop in and say hello. Whether you are brand new here and you've never watched one of the broadcasts, I love to get to know our teachers here. So if you're brand new, let us know that you're new here and let us know where you're tuning in from. If you've been a long-time listener, you know how it goes. Let me know where you're tuning in from this morning and let me know if you have any questions about marketing. Again, if you did not get to submit a question ahead of time, I'm going to try to get to as many as I can today. If you could do me a solid and put a big Q in front of your question down below, it will be much easier for me to find them in the comments. So let's get to it. Let's see here. Here we go. Our first question here actually comes from Laura, who is here in the audience. Laura, I'm so glad that you submitted this question, and I'm going to make sure that I read it in its entirety here. So Laura asked about marketing that attracts more advanced students. And let me give you some background on this question since Laura submitted some more details about this. So Laura explained that in the past, she has taught privately and at a music school. And when she was teaching at the music school, one of the things that she really liked about it is that she had a lot of variety. So students from different levels, and she really enjoyed that challenge. Now, her private studio, now that she shifted into teaching privately, it's really attracting beginners only. And she's missing some of that variety. So she's asking about how do I create marketing that attracts some more advanced students when her posts that she's making on social media right now look like that she only teaches beginners. So I think that's a great question, Laura. And let's kind of break this down a little bit. So there's a few things that I want to say to this question. First, I have been where you are. And if we have teachers who are watching, whether live or on the replay, if you have ever found yourself in a point where all of a sudden your studio that was had a variety of age levels in it is now more geared towards one level and you're missing that variety. That has happened to me in the past, mainly because I had a couple of classes, so to speak, that graduated where I then had like a giant gap, and I didn't have all those high schoolers that I used to have. So I remember I had 2 years in a row where I graduated like 6 seniors one year and 4 seniors the next year. And it just happened to be that my waiting list, the people who were kind of first on my list at the time when I was actually addressing the waiting list in order, the people who were first on the list were all beginners. So then we had this giant influx of beginners that started. So the first thing, Laura and those who might find themselves in this situation, if you are, I'm going to bring that down. If you are finding yourself, wanting more variety in your student, I want you to consider this studio, I should say. I want you to consider this a permission slip to be choosy about who you're accepting from the waiting list, because you do want to create a variety in the levels and ages inside of your business. If not just for like, hey, I want to be able to teach a variety of things, but also so that your business has some stability and that you don't have giant classes that are all graduating at once and then having like to deal with like a big turnover. So consider that your permission slip. If you have people on your waiting list, go ahead and fill those spots with the people that you want at that time. And the other thing is, let's look at the marketing, Laura. So your question is really great because you mentioned that the social media marketing that you're doing and the online marketing really points to the fact that you work with young students, because Laura is fantastic at her social media, and she's really good at taking pictures about what's happening in her studio. So a couple of things that you could consider. One, reaching out to the families that you currently have and letting them know Hey, if you have an older sibling or an older friend who's looking for lessons, I wanted to let you know that I also offer intermediate lessons. This is one of the places where we excel in our studio. So market directly to your current clients, letting them know that very specifically you do teach more advanced and intermediate students. And then if you wanted to um, get some more marketing materials out there that demonstrates how you work with older students, a couple of things that you could do is like maybe dig through some of your older photos that you have, or reach out to some of the clients that you've had in the past, those who might have graduated, and ask them for testimonials or ask them for, hey, like to catch up with, hey, what are you doing on piano nowadays? And maybe you can tell a little bit of a story about these people who have graduated and are continuing to play music in some way. And if you really, really need to, find a friend who has an older student and ask them if they will come into the studio, and you'll give them a couple of free lessons in order to demonstrate that you work with older clients. Like there's just so many ways to try that out, and you can be transparent with things. Let people know, hey, this if you posted something like that and you want to be transparent, because I think transparency in marketing is fabulous, then tell them, this is a picture of me working with one of my older beginners. And one of the reasons I did this is because you may not know this, but I don't teach just beginners. Over the years, I've worked with so many teens who are intermediate and advanced players. So if you have a teen who is wanting to restart their piano journey, I am here for you. So I hope that is helpful. That's a great comment there. Jennifer Fox is tuning in. Hey, Jennifer. Sometimes current families assume that you don't teach advanced. So when they reach a certain level, they quit thinking they quit thinking that they need to look for a more advanced teacher, which can really be a heartache because you worked so hard to get those people up to that point. Speaking further to that, that's a great point, Jennifer. Something that we can do just as our own selves is to demonstrate our ability as a piano teacher or as a singer, right? To post ourselves playing, working on more advanced repertoire to demonstrate that this is what we have. Right? Okay, so that was our first question. Laura, thank you for submitting that question. That was fabulous. Again, for those of you who are watching, if you do have a marketing related question, go ahead and drop it down below. We'll try to get to all of those today. Our second question comes from Shirley, and she asked, how do I get found by the right folks online? I want to broaden my horizons. And let me give you a little bit of background with this question because I have some more information from her. She explains that she has a totally online piano and voice studio, and she's wondering how she can get found by the right folks online. Many of her students, and I love that you included this, Shirley, because I think it's so important. Many of her students are local, but they actually prefer online lessons. She would like to broaden her horizons to other states and even other countries. For instance, she has a student who is an American living in Germany. So she's just wanting to figure out how she can get more well-known in those areas. So, Shirley, I was doing some thinking about this, and I think a couple of the things that I would do would be to lean into marketing that is outside of doing your stuff on Facebook or doing your stuff on Instagram, and thinking about what are some of the marketing platforms that you could use in order to get information out there. So I know that you're really creative and that you have so many fantastic ideas. So one of the things that popped into my mind is, ooh, Shirley, you should write some blogs on Medium. Or what's the other one called? Karen told me about this, and I'm not going to remember. I want to say that it's called like text form or something. That's probably not correct. But, getting things out there, writing to those ideal clients that you have, and talking about your journey being an online teacher, and how you're able to serve people who are overseas, how you're able to serve people who are across the country. It could be a really fun thing to write those stories. So you could consider writing some blogs, right? You could have them on your own website, but also looking at larger platforms where people might be reading. And if you look at medium.com, if you've never read there, if you go on there and you search for piano teachers, you'll find a lot of interesting stories that people have written. So there's some great examples for you to follow. Another thing to consider would be to talk about your experience as a piano teacher on your personal social medias, so that you can really tell people, like, here's what I love about my job. I love that, on Tuesdays when I get to go into the studio, I get to connect with a student who's living over in Germany, and thinking about just telling your story in different ways. So I think storytelling is going to be one of your most powerful ways to market. And then, of course, also combining the idea of storytelling with your marketing, with looking at your website SEO and thinking about how are people finding piano teachers when they're overseas. So might be a really great opportunity to have a conversation with your client that you have in Germany to ask how they found you, or how they were searching for piano lessons. Something to consider also is that there are so many U.S. bases, like military bases around the world, where you could probably serve military families who are looking for piano teachers for their student, or for their kids, or for themselves. So there might be some unique opportunities in that as well. So I'm really glad you asked that. Okay, so let's keep moving and grooving. Remember, drop those comments down below if you have any ideas for any of the questions that we are going over today. Please chime in. This is a wonderful discussion to have. I love what Karen Clark is saying, that she has started being choosy with her waiting list. She'll take an adult over a child right now, and that she has advanced adults that perform in recitals, which demonstrates that I do teach at an advanced level. And Cassandra Stafford's watching over on YouTube, and she says, I love this. Yeah, this is fun. I love all these ideas that you all are submitting today. And remember, if you do want to submit information, if you would like to give me ideas about what you want to see in future broadcasts, I am open to it. I'm really excited about this. If you drop a Savvy down below, the Savvy Sarahbot will reach out to you on Facebook or Instagram, and she will send you a very short 2-minute form where you can submit your ideas for future resources and broadcasts. All right, let's move and groove. We've got several more questions to go through here. Amber submitted a question here about getting engagement in a Facebook group. Now, I don't have much background on this question, but I am going to assume some things here, Amber. So, when you're watching the replay, you can let me know if this is correct or incorrect. My assumption here is that you own the Facebook group and you are trying to get more engagement in that group that you own. So I'm going to answer it that way first, and then I'm going to answer it in the you don't own the Facebook group and you're trying to get engagements on your post. So let's be transparent and honest from the beginning here. Facebook groups are not what they used to be. The way the algorithm used to treat them in the past is that groups really did get priority, and everybody in the group that you created would see the posts that you were posting. But then groups really took off, and let's be honest, some people, and this is still happening because I just saw an example of this yesterday, some people are using groups in ways to avoid having to use a Facebook business page, and to avoid spending anything on advertising. But here's the deal. Facebook, figured that out, and they're not showing all of your posts to people inside of your group. So there's a couple of things that I would suggest, and then I'm going to mention something that I do not suggest. Actually, let's start with that because I'm on my high horse today. Okay, so we're going to answer this question here. Hi, but I just want to say hi, Judy. Nice to see you. And hello, Eden Castillo. I'm so glad that you're here. All right, so how do we get more engagement in groups? Here is one way not to do it. Please listen clearly to this. I know that the at everyone tag seems very convenient, but it also, especially when you overuse it, can seem very salesy and weird and just invasive, right? So if you are using the at everyone tag for your Facebook group, please only do so like every once in a while and let it be actually important, right? Ask yourself, am I really serving the people in this group by using my at everyone tag? The only time that I ever use it is, one, I use it in the paid groups that I run. If something's really important and they need, I want to make sure that they get their eyes on it, I will use that. What I do not use it for is selling stuff. I feel like that is really gross, right? That's my personal opinion. Yes, at everyone. Blah, angry face. Judy says, I'd never use that. Cassandra is like, I dislike everyone. That's really, really funny. Now, I also want to say, there is nothing wrong with selling. And, if you are doing something that could be a great service and want to give people an opportunity to do something, fabulous. But you need to think about how you're wording it. And don't come across as a salesy weirdo, right? Just don't. So let's talk about, back to Amber's question, how can you get more engagement inside of a group? Examine the content that you are posting. Are you making the content about the people inside of the group? Are you trying to sell stuff to them, or are you trying to engage with them and ask them good questions and have conversations with them and invite them to be in the spotlight? I love this phrase. I don't remember who first taught it to me, but somebody said to me that their grandmother used to say, oh, I feel like I know who it was. I feel like it's Chelly. It comes from Chelly Campbell. And the piece of advice that she had gotten from someone was to make the person you are talking to the most important person in the room. So how can we do this? We can invite people to tell their own stories. We can invite people to, tell us what they're working on and things like that. I have managed a small Facebook group called the Voice Teachers. What's it called? The Voice Teachers Community. I think that's what it's called. And admittedly, I don't spend a ton of time in that group nowadays, but when I am spending time in that group, I'm not going there to sell stuff. I'm going there to ask people questions, to ask like, hey, what's the most popular song in your studio this year? I'm just curious to see what your trends are. Or to say, hey, has anybody found some new warm-ups that they love? Because I'll be honest, like the ones that I'm using right now are feeling really stale. And just inviting things that encourage conversation. So that can be one of the best ways to encourage engagement inside of a group. Now, there's so many other things to speak to that, but I think those are my two main points. And then also saying, if you are engaging in other groups and you're going into other groups and trying to get well known and establish yourself as an expert, but the only thing that you're doing is showing up and going like, buy my thing. Amber, I'm not saying that you're doing this at all. So this is a very general answer to like a marketing question. If that is the way that you're using Facebook groups, I want you to pause and I want you to try something different and go into those groups and provide value. Not just by like creating a post about this thing that you made, but by looking at the questions that people are asking and answering them honestly and showing up as the expert that you are so that people trust you, right? Nobody's going to buy things from us if we aren't showing up genuinely in our space as people who are offering valuable things. Yes, exactly, Amber, giving value. It's all about that. Now, I will also say we can take that too far and run ourselves ragged. So I'm certainly not saying like spend all your time every day answering every question in every group. Set a timer. Pick a day of the week when you're going to show up in spaces. so that you can help people and set a timer for it. And that can just be a very good way to get known. All right, let's see here. I'm going to bring up our next question because I have, let me think, 1, 2, 3 more questions that were submitted. We're going to go through those, and then I hope we'll have a little bit of time here. So I'm going to get through these. Deborah submitted a question, and she and I had a really good conversation via DM the other day because I was really curious about this. She said, what do you think of the no call / no website approach? So let me be clear about, let me give you background about where this question comes from. And some of you may have seen these types of things. Nope, that's not the right question. Why am I not? Oh, there it is. Okay. She said she keeps seeing all these ads pop up on Facebook for online marketing coaches that say something to the effect of, are you tired of doing Facebook Lives? You don't have to do a discovery call and you don't need a fancy website. And they are teaching that you can market your studio without having to have all those things. So let's unpack this for a moment. I'm very familiar with these ads. I have seen them myself. And I'm very familiar with this trend in the coaching industry right now. And one of the things that I think is happening is there are some people out there that are making some really big promises that seem contrary to what the trends have been in the past. So some of the trends in the past have been things like, here's how to set up a good marketing funnel for your online course, or here is how you can get people to book discovery calls and all of these things like that. And I actually think that some of those things are extremely effective, right? But I think one of the things that coaches are seeing right now as an opportunity is to position their brand to differentiate themselves. So some of the claims that we have out there saying that you can book high ticket clients without having all of these things in place, some of that actually might be true. But when we look at what is inside of those programs, let's be very honest. They're saying you don't need to use templates. You don't need to use funnels. They have templates, they have funnels, but they're just different. And a lot of those programs, what they are doing is they're actually taking us back into a very key element of marketing anything, and that's having conversations. So it is a different approach to marketing. And I do believe that in some circumstances where you are an established expert in an area and people already know who you are, yes, you can go that route and eliminate some of the things in the inquiry process. But I do believe in my heart of hearts that for our specific industry, people are shopping. And so we do want to have ways to do a couple of things. We want to have ways to communicate what we do and how we do it differently. And we also want to be able to vet people. Right? We want to be able to bring people into our studio that we are really excited to work with. So if we're going the whole like no call, no website approach, we need to have a different way to vet people. And we need to look at our inquiry process very carefully. And for those who have never looked at this one resource that my friend Michelle Marquardt DeVoe created, she wrote a beautiful ebook called The Art of the Inquiry. And I think that is a more holistic and realistic and wholehearted approach to bringing people into our businesses. So I would highly suggest you looking that up. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like Pete, it is good to have a machine that will stay afloat during the times when Facebook or the internet breaks, right? We need to have a process that brings people in. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Deborah, I hope that gives you some good ideas to chew on. And she gave me some really great ideas yesterday. Y'all might be seeing a very ranty post coming from me in the near future here because I have feelings. All right. Amber asked another question. She asked, is it effective to have 2 separate functioning calls to action or CTAs on pages of your website? So this is a good question. And I want to ask this need to adjust. Answer this kind of generally speaking so that people so that this is really useful for anyone who's thinking about how do I craft this website, yada yada. So let's look at different areas of our website and think about where is it okay to have two calls to action and where is it maybe not a good idea to have two. I will say that on your homepage, if people are coming onto your website and this is the first place that they've heard about you, they are really trying to get a clear idea of who you are and who you serve. So if you serve multiple audiences, certainly, a homepage is a great opportunity to let people just know what's available. And I can speak to this from my personal experience. Before I had savvymusicstudio.com, I was using sarahsmusicstudio.com. Does anybody remember those old days? I would love to know who's watching that has been with me since the old website, right? I was using that website because I did not have it in me to launch a new website at that time. And so I used that website with multiple calls to action to let people know that I did provide different services. And you can go and see it. Go to sarahsmusicstudio.com. Hopefully it's not broken because I don't maintain it anymore. But if you look on that, see, like Jennifer's like, I totally remember that, right? Judy remembers, Kathy remembers. If you look at the homepage, it's very clear, like, here are the things that you can do. It was geared towards the people that I taught private lessons. It was geared towards like my blog readers, and it also provided information about coaching. Laura remembers that as well. Yeah, Laura, I think that you did branding boot camp back in the day when I still was advertising it on sarahsmusicstudio.com. Like it's been a while. So homepages can be a great place for calls to action to have multiple calls to action. Now, that said, there may be a certain point where in order to attract the right people to your website, in terms of like, what are the meta descriptions? What is the SEO? And like, how is it showing up in searches, that you will want to split them apart, right? And to have two different areas of your business rather than one. I can think of a very clear example of this, like, first off, myself, like I did split things apart. And then also my friend Michelle shifted things when she made the decision that the name of the business that she was using no longer served like some of her bigger goals. So she shifted things, and the umbrella that was the brand changed. So it's good to keep an eye on that and to figure out, when do I need to create a new umbrella for this brand? When do I need to create an opportunity for these two things to split off? And then what is this? Pete says, I've been following you since you used to talk about having breathe strips in your studio. I am not even remembering this, Pete. I'm going to have to message you about it. Breathe strips. I'm gonna ask. All right, let me take this down because it's in the way. But there is one thing that I do want to say about when it's not okay, or not okay. It's just not a good idea to have multiple calls to action, and that would be when you are designing something like a landing page. A landing page is designed to keep you on one area, and landing pages can be really great for courses, ebooks and things like that people are, that you're wanting people to purchase, or they can be really great for lead magnets where you're having them download something for free and they become a part of your email list, and then you're putting them through a nurture sequence. Landing pages, we want one clear call to action. And if you want to see an example of that, I invite you to check out the Get Found Online page that I've created. That is an example of a landing page. And on that page, you will not find any links that lead you off of that page. It's straight up all about the Get Found Online ebook, which several of you downloaded last week. And I'm so glad that you're getting your hands on that resource. It can be really, really useful. So if there's anyone here that wants to learn more about that, lean this way, point this way. There we go. I did create a social media and search engine field guide. A lot of research went into this. It's a very low cost. It's $7, and it comes with a ton of really good information when it comes to where to market online. how social media and search engine marketing can help you. And it has some workbook pages that will help you craft a marketing plan for your music studio. So if you want to get a hold of that, put get found down below and I'll give you the information. Okay, great. Yay, Cassandra's like, I forgot to get it. I'm going to get it today. All right, awesome. Studio tips. That makes more sense. I love it. All right, let's keep moving and grooving. I think I'm on this question now, and then I'm going to get back to Brandon's question. So if you have questions that you want me to answer on the live, now is the time to submit them, because I will stay on to answer them. I'm not going to circle around and answer a ton of questions via comments afterwards. We're just doing it on the live today. So Brock submitted a question. This was actually a conversation that we had inside of the Social Media Savvy Studio, which is one of the private groups where the social media course lives. And we were talking about YouTube because YouTube did this thing recently that if you don't know this is actually really good information. YouTube sent out emails to everybody that has a YouTube channel, and you are now able to pick your username on YouTube. And I think it's because they're really pushing YouTube Shorts right now. They're like Reels, okay? And so what they're telling you can do is that you can pick a username that gives you like a little handle, like a YouTube handle. And then they are also allowing all YouTube channels to pick a fancy URL so that you don't have that your URL is not something random with a whole bunch of numbers and letters in it. You can actually have something like youtube.com/Savvy Music Studio. So anyway, that's where the question kind of spurred from. And it was, what are your tips on getting more subscribers on YouTube? So he had mentioned that, and I can look back here because I wrote this down for myself. He does find getting YouTube followers a lot harder than other platforms such as like Facebook or Instagram. And so here are some things that I would suggest, Brock. First and foremost, like think about, are you including a clear call to action in the videos that you're posting? His are performance videos. And, so we want to create calls to action at different points in the description of the video would be great. If you go to my YouTube channel and you examine my videos, you'll notice that with each one inside of the description, it's not way up at the top. Inside of the description, I do give people a very easy link to subscribe to your channel. There is a special link that you can get that will actually open up the YouTube subscribe option. So it will open up the app, and it will instead of just taking somebody to your channel, it's actually going to open up this little pop-up that says, would you like to subscribe? So you can use that link on different platforms. You can actually use it on YouTube as well. And I will post how you find that link inside of the social media group where you asked this question, because I don't want to type it out here because it's kind of long. So that's one of the things that you can do. The next thing is to think about when you are inviting people to subscribe to your channel on your videos. So I'm not sure what you use to edit your video, but I would think, if you are doing some mild editing for your video, you could add some, some lower thirds or some images in the first 30 seconds to say, if you're enjoying this, subscribe for more, subscribe to get notifications for new music. And then also adding your end cards to your video. And there's different ways to do that. But like if you go back on the editing end of a YouTube video, you're going to have opportunities to add end cards. There will be a subscribe button and things like that. And if you want to, be more apparent, like when you are not just adding stuff to your video, like when you are introducing a piece on a video or you are ending a piece on a video, that is your time to give a call to action to say, if you enjoyed this piece, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see the next pieces that will be added to this channel, and things like that. All right, great. Let's go on here. All right, there was a question submitted by Brandon. We're going a little bit long, so we'll probably stick around for 5 more minutes here. Brandon submitted a question. What is the best way to market online courses? I have content galore in Canvas at the university, but I need to move it over to some other platform and market. Now, that's a big question here, Brandon. So, with a question like this, I am afraid to give very general advice because I don't think that there is one single way to market online courses. I think before we even get to the question about marketing, is that we need to examine, like, do you have an audience? Have you built an audience? And have you done research? I'm assuming you already have. What kind of research have you done in terms of, like, knowing who your ideal client is and knowing, are they actually looking for things that I'm creating inside of this course? So before we even get to the marketing part where we think about selling the course, the most important aspect is to build your audience. And I say this to a lot of clients, but your best place for selling is your email list. So build an email list, build a list of people that you think might be interested. It doesn't have to be email. It can literally be Post-it notes. If you're willing to have good sales conversations, good and honest sales conversations with people. So I would say your first step is to start building your list. And if you haven't done that already, that's going to be where you really want to spend your time, right? And then when it comes to, like, marketing it, right, and actually marketing the course, then you want to think about, where are my people spending time if they're not on my list? And what are the things that I need to speak to as an expert to get people interested in purchasing and to gain their trust and to move them along the purchasing journey so that they realize this is what I want. This is why I want it. The reason this is the course for me. Like, I can see that this is the course for me, and you are the creator for me. And this is the time to purchase. So there's all kinds of marketing questions that we would want to dig into there. I hope that gives you some things to chew on. I'm going to scroll through and see if there's any final questions here. I see. Oh, I just want to say hi to Deb. Deb, sorry, I missed this earlier. It's her first time watching. She's in Grants Pass, Oregon. That's awesome. Let me see if there were any more questions submitted. Okay, this is good. Judy has a question. I'm selling 2 things: composer biography books for kids and violin books for beginners. Where would you suggest I spend time and money first? It's a good question, Judy. So I would think about, I would spend my time looking at where are people. I'm looking at this composer biography books for kids and violin books for beginners. So I would really spend time in thinking about who are your ideal clients, who are you actually selling those books to, and then really examining where do those people get their information, where are they learning about new opportunities for repertoire, for literature, for their studios, or for their children. There might be some multiple ideal client avatars there, ICAs, so I would spend a lot of time examining that. And then I would think about what are the opportunity, once you know those people, where can I start talking about these resources or start talking about the development of these resources? And there may be many different opportunities for you to write guest blog posts, for you to write articles for music associations, etc., or homeschool associations and things like that. I could see, there's so many different ways to start kind of getting your media kit out there in a way, guest blogs, guest podcasts, things like that. So that's where I would spend most of my time, is really like expanding the network and thinking about how you're going to connect with people and market with them. And then when it comes to money, that's a bigger question. And then I would probably look at things like, well, what kind of advertising spend do you want to create? But before you do that, looking at, let's make sure that we have landing pages created, make sure that we have lead magnets and email sequences created. So that might be the first place where you spend some money. And then later on down the line, thinking about doing some retargeting ads and things like that. I hope that is helpful. Okay, wonderful. I think that is going to conclude today. Oh, yay. I'm so glad, Dorla. This is something I just wanted to test out. I wasn't sure if it would work, but it seems like, it seems like we might try this again in the future. For video, LumaFusion for iOS is the bomb. Ooh, Pete, thank you for the recommendation. That's fantastic. Judy says she was having fun, but people really are buying the books, so I'm all in now. Yeah, Judy, that's fantastic. If you ever want to chat further about that, hit me up. All right, so I am going to attempt for my VA to do a rapid recap of today. So it might be a little weird, but I'm going to try my best. So if you all are tuning in and you missed some of the questions, I'm going to do a 5-minute recap right now. Please wish me good luck because I feel like this is a lot to recap in 5 minutes. So if y'all want to set your timers and watch me speak really fast. Oh, Siri just woke up on my watch. This is the time. But before we do that, if you enjoyed today and you would like to be able to submit your ideas for future broadcasts and resources here at Savvy, please take a moment to fill out. We have a 2-minute form. If you drop the word Savvy down below, the Savvy Sarah bot is going to send it to you. Literally 2 minutes, like not a lot to do, but I would love to have your ideas about what is useful to you. So you're able to submit your questions and ideas, and we will look at those for future resources. So, hey there, Alexis. It's so good to see your beautiful face popping up here. All right. Give me all of your hearts and all of your thumbs and all of those things as I attempt this rapid recap. And here we go. This week we did our very first edition of an Ask Me Anything About Marketing. And here is a rapid recap of some of the things that people submitted to our questionnaire. All right, so let's go through them. I think you're really going to like these. Something for everyone this week. Laura asked a question, how do I create marketing that attracts more advanced students? And I gave her a couple of pieces of advice. The biggest piece of advice that I would want to say is reach out to former clients and talk to them about their experiences so that they can share their life stories, that, their continuation of what they've done with piano after they've gotten out of your studio, and to think about how can I bring more opportunities to my marketing where people can understand that I teach more advanced students. So it could be you creating videos of you playing more advanced repertoire, and it could be, getting an opportunity to work with some advanced students and bringing them into your studio and getting some pictures with that. So it's all about the marketing. And don't forget, market to your current clients and tell them how much you love working with students as they become older and they get to do more advanced repertoire. Okay, second question was from Shirley, and she said, how do I get found by the right folks online? I want to broaden my horizons. And so we talked about different opportunities to get out there and to talk about her unique story as a piano teacher who teaches people who are overseas. So I suggested going to places like medium.com and writing blog posts there, and also examining her SEO so that we have a lot of good information on there about the fact that she's, offers online lessons to an international audience. And, Shirley, final thought there is to think about what are some of the listings that people might be looking for. Where are they? Where are these Americans who are overseas looking for information where they can find online lessons with an American piano teacher? Think about all those listings. And then our third question came from Amber. And this was, how can I get more engagement in a Facebook group? And my answer here is pretty simple. First, please be careful about using the @everyone tag, because if we overuse that, it can become extremely annoying. So instead of doing something like that, really examine the types of content that you're putting out there and ask yourself, am I providing value and an opportunity for people to share their stories? Remember, it comes back to the idea of, if you want to make If you want to make a good impression and you want to encourage a really good conversation, make that person in front of you the most important person in the room. So create opportunities where teachers can engage and share their stories and share their suggestions and the resources that they love. And that will create a better and more engageable group. Deborah submitted a question about, what do you think about the no call / no website approach? Well, Deborah, I have some strong feelings about it because I think that there are some marketing coaches out there who are using brand positioning and differentiating themselves in a way that's not entirely honest. But at the same time, there has been this big movement towards simplifying our systems and not creating overly complicated funnels, and a return to having good sales conversations and being a good human being. And so, showing up as a real human and showing up to solve problems. So I don't have a problem with most of those ads that are out there unless they are being disingenuous and they are just using this trend now to position their brand in a way that differentiates themselves from other people. All right. Amber had a second question about, is it effective to have two separate functioning calls to action on a website? And I think yes. This can be a great opportunity on a homepage, just depending on who your ideal clients are and what your offers are. We need to ask ourselves the question, do these things make sense together? Or can they live under the same brand umbrella? Or is there going to become a point in time where you really do need to split them off and you need to have two separate websites? If you want an example of what that looks like, look at my old website. Go to sarahsmusicstudio.com and you'll see that I had lots of calls to action there. Where it is not okay to have multiple calls to action is on what we would call a landing page or a sales page. We do want that to be a journey that leads towards one single destination, and having too many calls to action on a page like that can be confusing and frustrating for your buyer. All right. The final question that we had submitted ahead of time was from Brock. What are your tips on getting more YouTube subscribers? Making sure that we're having clear calls to action inside of the video, whether it is something that is coming across the screen that we're adding via an end card or something like that, or you are being transparent and saying, hey, this is the piece that we're going to be performing today. And I would like to invite you, if you enjoy this piece, to consider subscribing and turning on notifications so that you can see the next piece that we will release. Things like that. Just being transparent. I think that's the best thing to do. And there's also, of course, that special YouTube link that you can grab where it will actually pop up the subscribe here button when somebody clicks on it, which is super duper cool. All right, there was two more little questions here. We're going to do them super duper fast. There was a question from Brandon asked about what's the best way to market online courses. I like to answer this question by saying, before you market, build your audience. You need to have an audience to sell to in order to actually sell something. So there's going to be a lot of brand establishment. There's going to be a lot of, expert status establishment and nurturing and educating before you can get into the actual sales process itself. And then Judy had submitted a question about where should I spend my time and money first when it comes to selling these new books that I've created. And the ideas that we talked about in more detail than this rapid recap is to think about where can you start expanding your network and getting well known in the space where your ideal clients are going to find you. Because they already know that you're really good at creating these resources and you had some good feedback. Now it's time to expand the network and get those ideas out there. So thinking about music associations, thinking about guest blogging and podcasting and that sort of thing, and having a nice social media kit that you can use in order to make those reach outs and offers. All right. So, hey, if you enjoyed this Ask Me Anything or recap, let me know down below. If you drop the word savvy, you will be getting a hold of a way to submit your ideas and questions for future broadcasts and resources here at Savvy Music Studio. That was a lot of fast talking. We're going to wrap it up right there. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I really enjoyed this broadcast. We'll be back next week with more topics to help you become more savvy with your business. So in the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing music teacher and there's no one in the world quite like you. And I think you are pretty dang awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week.